Hi, sorry I'm late.
Hey, Amanda.
You're right on time.
Well, I mean,
timed that beautifully.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Couldn't have done
everyone.
it better.
So, hello and welcome to Star Wars Month. This week, of course, we will be talking about the original trilogy. And I figured since this is kind of a special month for Media Musings, we'll have a little bit of fun, at least for this week. Since we are talking, the themes and such present in the original trilogy, if you guys viewing want to play along, someone mentions Joseph Campbell or The Hero's Journey, take a shot. And thank you, Hissy. It was a birthday present. But
are you trying to kill your audience, Ring?
But yes, welcome everyone who is currently watching and may watch in the future. I see we had Hops in the chat. Not sure if he's still here. We have Donna,
Donna.
Robert X. We have Hissy's Hideaway in a couple minutes. Yes. Yeah. You get Media Musings points where it doesn't matter. Everything's made up in the the analysis is made up in the points.
The points don't matter. No, sorry, wrong show.
Yeah.
It's Star Wars month. She gets Jedi points.
Yeah, Jedi points.
Dad, I want Sith points.
Oh.
I'll go for the Mandalorian points.
So, you
Disney
may
points.
You may want to be. Hey, Disney's not for a couple weeks.
Yeah, but you brought Badger
why-
on here. How do you expect him not to talk about it? I mean, really.
To be fair, normally it's like me or Jen that brings it up to annoy him, but we won't do that this stream. Will we, Jen?
Too right, I already did.
Yeah, that's the point that you guys bring it up to not talk about it, but you bring it up anyway to not talk about it. So it's brought up.
Yeah.
I don't recall the person being the person who entered the D word into the conversation here. If
Manda is gunning for Sith points, then anyone who wants to play along in the drinking game may want to be very careful because it sounds like she wants to go to the dark side.
I mean, I'm happy to play for Disney points because I'll use them to buy Marvel.
Okay, come on. This is a Star Wars stream. Don't bring that shit up here. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, new rule, at least for this week and next week. If the House of Mouse, 3 strikes. You get 3 strikes for the bringing up the House of Mouse, and then you will be muted.
Then you have to down your drink.
Mind ring. Jeez.
Yeah.
Is that starting now?
Yes.
The previous mentions still count, or
No, I guess those were a gimme, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because otherwise, Ring would have to count his own.
Because it's we're barely 5 minutes into the stream and it's already become a problem. And luckily, Hissy, you're not any amount of shots behind because we were discussing a certain corporation that doesn't have any bearing on this particular part of the conversation.
No, it does not. Absolutely does not. Move the fuck on.
I'm not saying nothing apart from it was a problem long before this stream, mate.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And
so, the original trilogy.
yeah, and so I'll go ahead and get the drinking started by saying that it's
really?
very.
I've got to pour a drink.
Yeah,
My can is running low here.
I actually might have to go and get some lemonade because I think I've run out of mixer and I ain't drinking it straight.
Because, Hissy does want to, know. So it's very, it's very popular to compare Star Wars with Joseph Campbell's work on the hero's journey. That's two shots right there.
You said it.
Gabriel. I'm not ready for a shot. Fine.
We're all going to be dead.
I don't mind being merry by the end of the stream.
Oh, God,
but
that's
you're not going to be falling down drunk, all right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to have to go get some lemonade. I will be right back.
Yeah, so if you hear, JC, but not the JC that the Christians rail on about, or the HJ, take a shot.
What were those, Ring?
I don't want to kill my audience.
All right.
Okay. I just have a shit ton of coffee, though. This is all coffee.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've just got chai tea with some coffee in it and water.
With your weird times of day.
And you even said that like Hovin without even doing the impression.
Oh no!
Water. I noticed your tweet, by the way. Watch this story. I will drown you in water.
So,
Badger, you're right. That noise is coming in again. It's...
And we have a Hissy.
Hey, Hissy's just going to sit here and drink. Hissy's not going to be saying much because Hissy doesn't get this franchise.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I think
Hissy is well prepared.
I
Not an advertisement.
I already briefed Hissy on things not to say on my preview at the end of my stream.
So there is one thing when discussing the themes in the original trilogy that it is very basic. That could be like the one main criticism of it thematically.
Basic in what way? Should I prepare a drink?
Well,
it very closely follows certain things that we can't mention.
Well, it's definitely the hero's journey for one.
Oh, damn it, Jen!
Who was it who came up with that?
Yeah. I will
Campbell.
mute you. Oh, damn it.
I think
Damn, my drink's empty. This is why I'm pouring triples.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in particular the first film is very much. There's nothing massively complicated about the first film.
Yeah.
It's very easy. Anyone can get behind it, which is
almost kind of the point.
Yeah.
is that there's this simplistic element to it that we can all relate to. We can all relate to one of the characters one of the main characters in some way, you know.
Yeah.
There's
And
also enough meat there for it to be part of a wider story.
exactly.
Which is why Lucas chose to start it there and not at the beginning.
But you can almost sort of see this as like some sort of epic, sort of, I don't know, fairy
Space
tale.
opera.
Yeah, space opera is possibly the best way to take it. You look at it, you've got, but or you know, sometimes I don't know if fairy tale's the right thing to do it, but you look at those elements. You know, you've got you've got the evil characters. You got the farm boy who's the hero. His friend who's the pirate. A wizard. You've got all those sort of elements.
That constitutes mention of the hero's story. Just saying.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. I only said half of it.
Well, I'm thirsty.
I like
so
Nerdy's comment that Star Wars is based on Don Quixote.
Yeah. No, Nerdy also said he relates to Baby Hutt, that little fucking obnoxious thing in Clone Wars. No. It was so bad. It was so fucking bad.
We're gonna have to be more worried about getting your wife with all this drinking, right?
Yeah.
That's fine. He knows his wife's okay.
Jabba called him his little punky muffin in a Star Wars thing. Like, what the fuck? Ruined Jabba for me.
What? Who said what?
Well,
in the Clone Wars movie, Jabba, have you seen it, Badger?
Yeah,
you know, Jabba has a baby, and he calls him his little punky muffin, and it just ruined fucking Jabba for me. It ruined it. So,
right, so let's forget that and just deal with the Jabba that's in the original trilogy, shall we?
You already brought it up. It's not my fault.
Yeah.
Is that a drinking thing every time Manda rants? Is that a drinking thing?
Do we want to kill our audience?
We'll all be dead.
Never mind your audience. You might kill me.
If we've got... If it's Manda rants, it's
majority
probably
of the
my
audience
rants.
would be dead far before you are.
If we ignore everything that isn't the original 6 movies, we can just say the 6 movies are canon and ignore everything else.
Well,
yeah, that's not gonna get you another rant.
Yeah, but we're focusing. Yeah, but we're focusing
specifically
right now on
we're focusing on the original 3. I know.
Yeah,
Ring keeps trying to corral it back to it.
Ring,
I was going to say that if
you must do what you feel is right, of course.
Oh. If we're focusing
he is strong in the Force. This one.
We're having drinks for Manda's rants. We should probably have drinks for my rants as well. And I'm guessing we will all die. Even the ones who aren't drinking anything alcoholic will just die of H2O poisoning.
Oh,
I can verify that Manda has mastered the art of the Force choke. So, you know.
And by the way, Ring, to paraphrase somebody very important to all of us, as far as keeping us under control, do or do not. There is no trial.
I've never even seen Star Wars, and I get that joke.
Yeah.
That's a healthy drink, right?
Found someone you have, I would say.
I kind of wish Jeff had thought of that. I should have typed it to him in Twitter.
So
now you got to admit that impression is a little bit more tolerable than another one, which I will not be doing on this stream.
So you mention it anyway.
So the original trilogy.
You can't not the Yoda impression, Manda. Come on.
Yeah, and he's not in the original anyway.
You might not want to be here next week,
the original trilogy, Manda, the original trilogy, Yoda is in it.
He's going to force choke you through the screen.
Yoda is. The other way, I will. I will fucking force choke the shit out of you, Jeff.
I never saw that happen in the movie. I never saw anyone shit themselves when they were being force choked.
You didn't see it, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Okay.
It depends on where. It depends on where the force choke was being applied, Jen.
To the colon.
Listen. You could do anything at all with the force. Why not just make your opponent piss themselves? Like, why not? You could do anything.
You're shitting themselves.
Them.
Okay. So the point about the
So Sith use their force powers for scatfish, bitchin'.
Original trilogy.
All right, Ring's trying to get a word in.
I will mute you.
Just let him speak here.
So the thing is, with the original Star Wars, what we know as A New Hope, but it was originally just called Star Wars, is it wasn't originally, intended as part of any kind of grander story.
Yeah.
It was just meant to be a one-off.
Well, no, he had the outlines for what he wanted, but he never thought he'd get the backing to do it. He thought the first one would be his only shot.
Also, in the original trilogy, he had people, because he was such a young producer and writer, he was new to it, he let people on set, including the actors and other people that worked there, kind of guide him when he did stupid shit and tell him, no, that's dumb, let's do it this way. He didn't have that in the prequels.
Yeah.
Because he was such a big guy, and that's why we ended up with shitty stuff like Jar Jar. So.
Yeah,
well, I mean, to be fair, he also had Steven Spielberg around to help advise him too, which makes a huge difference.
Yeah, also, and we'll probably get into the what went wrong or right with the prequels
next week.
He also had
saying that he was
if I'm remembering it.
Go ahead.
No, after you. No, after you.
I was just saying that that's why people see it as so much better, because he had a lot of influence to make it the right way.
He also, if I'm remembering it correctly, he had someone he was quite closely linked to like fix all the editing for him.
So that being said,
I have to look up that.
The fact that he did have that collaborative help didn't stop him from trying to tinker with it later on.
Oh, very much so. But some of the tinkering isn't bad. Some is ridiculous. But I mean, upgrading the special effects, I don't necessarily have a problem with.
Yeah,
changing the storyline, I do. Like Greedo shot first.
The Greedo thing. He says something. I can't remember what it was, but they recently changed it. And right before Greedo gets shot, he says some fucking weird jumbled word, and it was never there before. Like, they keep changing little things that we notice because we've seen these movies 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen it recently on Disney?
No, I haven't.
Watch it. Just watch that one scene right before Han shoots him.
I think I'd rather not.
And also,
I don't disagree with putting Jabba back in though. I thought that was good.
Guys,
apart from
come on, you
Han
promised me
treading
a
on his
drink.
tail.
Yeah.
Hero's journey.
Thank you.
Oh no.
Can I ask a question of everyone? When did you first see A New Hope?
Oh, I can't remember.
I was quite young at the time.
Oh, same.
Yeah. Probably 6 or 7 first time I saw it.
Yeah.
What year did it come out in?
77.
77.
Yeah. My brother
I
have a brother that's 10 years older than me, and he was super duper into Star Wars. So he tried really hard to get me into it. And growing up, I liked it, but I wasn't like I am now. But that's because of Angel. So
I saw the movie when I was 5.
I first saw it on VHS.
Same
in
here.
At a drive-in.
I had the Ewoks movie on VHS.
Okay, you're gone, Manda. No, just kidding.
I saw it at a drive-in when I was 5. I saw the first half of the movie because I fell asleep, which is understandable when you're a 5-year-old.
Oh yeah,
but I can still remember that opening scene, sitting in a car with just the silly little speaker shit, I'm old. Hung through the window. And the sound, crackly sound, because those stupid speakers in cars were dreadful, but it added to the ambience of it. Coming over and then seeing this giant spaceship fly over. Well, it didn't fly over you, but you know, because we were close enough to the screen to get a good effect of it. So it was really epic because there really hadn't been anything like that.
I have a question
epicness
for you,
in cinema. Yeah.
In a drive-through, do they have like a radio thing with the audio?
That's what in my there's a drive-through in the town next to where I grew up. It's still there actually, or not drive-through, drive-in, and they have what we do is they have a radio station that they're synced to.
Broadcasting.
Sit there with the radio.
I've never actually been to a drive-in before.
There's not a lot left in America.
When drive-ins started, not all cars had radios in them. So our drive-ins that were old enough had areas where you'd pull up beside the pole and there'd be a speaker that was hung on there that was joined by wires, and you'd lift the speaker off and you put it through your window and wind your window up, and it would hang inside your car, and that was where your sound came from.
Yeah.
Later on, you had the little adapters that you attached to your car aerial, and you could tune in on your radio and listen to it on your car stereo, which of course made it sound better.
I suppose that makes more sense.
When I went, the cinema didn't have the radio attachment installed, and it was all speakers. So it was quite an experience.
I always imagined that they'd have like a huge speaker attached to the screen, and it would piss off all the neighbors. I never really thought the system through because I've never been in one.
Yeah. Though I will possibly piss off Amanda slightly right now, and say that Luke's entire character arc for the trilogy is learning not to be a whiny teenager.
Oh, damn it! I thought I was going to drink.
I have said this before. But that's the point. That it's the journey. That he's this nothing.
What sort of journey?
At the beginning, and he.
Hissy, mind if I drop you out?
No, drop me out. Go ahead. I'm just going to sit here drinking. You know this.
Okay.
Take a drink.
Yep.
Hello.
Hey.
Barely awake. You?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, it seems this has been going for a while. I only just woke up enough to see the notice of, hey, want to join.
Yeah,
sorry. We started 22 minutes ago. We started, so yeah, it's not that long, and we've mostly been drinking. So,
one thing I can't help but notice, though, is that a lot of people have been sort of retroactively deciding that a lot of pop culture is either good or bad, or seeing it in a completely other light or whatever. And nobody, when I was a kid, back in, the early 80s, thought that Luke was all that whiny. It was only in the 90s that people started going, oh, he's such a whiner. And I'm like, that's just weird to me.
Thank you, Kate.
Yeah. I think the point was when we saw him back, because I mean, like I said, I saw it at the drive-in, and you probably saw it in an early cinema, almost not long after it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, I know I'm a little older than you, but you would have seen it fairly early on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for us, when we saw it back then, you could suspend the disbelief that this was a young teenager. But if you go back and watch it now, Luke looks a little bit too old to be a teenager. So you're like, he's a whiny little shit. So I think there's a thing of suspending the disbelief to some extent.
Don't forget, he had to have, in the second two, he'd already had plastic surgery to fix his face after his car accident. So,
yeah. I can I can still see him as a teenager in the first one.
Oh yeah,
he's a late stage teenager, but he's still a teenager.
When I watched it originally, he seemed older to me, but now that I am, my age, I do see him as a teenager, especially with, he's closer to Angel's age in the movie than he is to me. So I see him more as a teenager now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, given that he was talking about going off to the academy and all that, it sure seemed like he was about high school graduation age, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Also,
so mid to late teens.
I was also out, but I would say I can tell you exactly where I first saw Star Wars. I think it was probably about 7 or 8, and it was at my school. Now, for some reason, my primary school used to occasionally do like a film night kind of thing where kids and parents come in there. Now, I mean, technically, I don't know how they were getting along on with this because they were technically acting as a cinema when they probably weren't supposed to be. But one night they put Star Wars on, and I'd never seen it. And I was probably the only kid in my school that had never seen it. And I begged my mum to take me to see this because my mum is not a science fiction fan at all. She does not get sci-fi. I begged her to see this, and I'm so glad she took me because it's tight. Yeah. It definitely did and I think Star Wars maybe he was about 10 years old by that time. It had been out 10 years. And as I said, I was about 7 or 8, and it quite clearly is the most amazing thing you've ever seen. And I think even now that like Jen said, that first scene with the rebel ship and then this massive Star Destroyer pursuing it.
It's because you're watching the rebel ship fly over and you go, oh, that's big and immersive, and then the Star Destroyer comes and go, holy shit!
Yeah.
And it just drags you straight into the film.
For the very first, and I think even now you can show that first scene.
I've got the music in my head.
That's still going to grab you. I mean, in a lot of respects, a lot of that still holds up very well.
Yeah. Especially as
better than a lot of the CGI stuff does now.
Well, especially and I'm going to be a heretic here because I'm going to mention another brand. Especially as for most of us going to see Star Wars, our experience of sci-fi was Star Trek, the original. Clumsy doors and spaceships that don't look real, and they can't land on planets. They have to use transporters. And then all of a sudden you've got all of this very immersive model making and stuff, which looks real on the screen. I mean, I know it doesn't hold up well now compared to what people are used to with CGI.
It holds up better
even
than
if you go back, if you go back and watch the real original cuts, it is still very, very impressive.
I hear a lot of people saying, oh, the CGI doesn't hold up, but I've also noticed that a lot of people can't tell when it's CGI and it's just sort of a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there are a lot of movies that use practical effects where people have no idea it's not CGI. And I've actually, I've pointed at movies and I've said, which bit's the CGI that broke your brain? They go, that right there. I'm like, that's not CGI. That's a model. So, I mean, anytime someone says, oh, the CGI doesn't hold up, I kind of roll my eyes a little.
I think we have to remember something about Star Wars in 77. Considering what they did, you have to remember, this is not a movie that had a massive budget.
Yeah, and nobody had done anything like it before.
Yeah. I mean, you'd think...
They just created Industrial Light and Magic to make Star Wars.
Yeah.
They developed most of those techniques on the film. They were new. And, I mean, one of the reasons why some of the special effects from it don't hold up as well now is because they weren't as good at doing green screen back then. You didn't have the computer processing to do it.
You can definitely see a lot of matte lines.
Yeah, there's a few just kind of hard edges where you're like, oh, that's a bit rough.
Or things that are overtly transparent that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So, and possibly a lot of why the original trilogy, holds up very much is the very, arch storytelling of Joseph Campbell, similar to Joseph Campbell.
Drag.
I seem to have missed a rule.
Right. Anytime they mention the hero's journey, take a drink.
Or Joseph Campbell.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, you've just done it again. Damn you.
No,
We get
explaining
an
the rules
exemption
doesn't
for that
count.
one because
Oh, okay.
Yeah, explaining the rules doesn't count.
All right.
Yeah.
For the other thing I was going to mention for the CGI and the not CGI is when CGI is done well, you don't notice it.
Yeah.
When it's done well in Star Wars, at least in the original trilogy, you notice it because it's doing something that at the time was never done before, and it's doing it almost always very well. There's a few bits like in Return of the Jedi, the Rancor. Occasionally, when it's in the same shot as Luke, looks a bit funny. Like you can see the edges are too hard or the colors don't quite match. But mostly, even that, which was done with a big model and just green screened in and stuff like that, even that looks pretty good.
Well, that's where you get those hard edges. That's what's known as matte lines.
Yeah.
And, obviously they were matting in, compositing a large puppet on top of footage that was definitely way larger than it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But
I mean, with the special edition, as much as people rail against the special edition, they did their best to get rid of those matte lines.
And hello, Dave.
Okay, so I have a controversial thought. Like, honestly, I don't really like sci-fi all that much. I don't really consider. I mean, I like some of it. Battlestar, a few other things. I'm not big into Star Trek. You guys know that. But I don't really see Star Wars as just blatantly sci-fi. Like you said, it's like a space opera. There's a big difference.
Space opera is sci-fi. Do not get me started.
Okay.
Well,
it is sci-fi. I think I get where Mans is coming from, but it's a totally different thing to say something like Star Trek, which it's
like sci-fi light is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
well,
it's not hard science, but it's got the science fiction feel to it.
I'm a bit low to the Star Trek.
I've spent literally decades arguing over the definition of sci-fi, and Star Wars qualifies. So don't get me started.
Absolutely
not sci-fi.
Okay. Do not ever say space fantasy, Santy, whatever. It is not space fantasy. Okay.
I'm pretty sure that it's got a very long video.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Dumpster fire.
Okay, so I'm adding another trigger to the take a shot game. If someone mentions the other Star franchise, take a shot.
Well, I have to admit, I've often wondered whether there'd be this rivalry between the two fandoms if the word Star was not in both titles.
There probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
But then you could argue, why isn't Stargate similarly part of that rivalry?
Because it also
it came later
in space. It's a very different, like.
Stargate is nowhere near as big as the other two, though. Either no offense.
Also, it came out like several decades later.
There is that.
But I mean, it's not all like spaceships and other planets that way. It's we're walking through a glowy ring, and it's different.
They tried to do some spaceships in the series, and it was not that. Those were some of the not so good episodes.
And Santy, I like you as a person, but you're wrong.
That's a fail. That's
wait a minute. Here's the thing, though. When we talk about Stargate, do we mean the movie or Stargate SG1?
SG1, absolutely.
Yeah, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't comment on the movie.
I like the movie though, but
although compared to the TV show, the movie's fairly vapid.
I agree. Yeah.
But so, yeah, and a lot of times the movie that starts the show is not fucking great. So,
but Star Wars though.
Yeah, but Star Wars though.
Yeah. Well, okay, if we're gonna go into like controversial opinions, I will say this much. I did not feel like the Force was ruined by midi-chlorians.
That's a good opinion for next week.
Yeah,
Are we only doing the original trilogy right now?
We are.
Yeah.
See, this is why you need to not start this shit early, so I can get here and find
this is the first week of Star Wars month where we're going in order.
See,
I wonder if Kate's benefit if we should. I wonder if we should start at 10:30 next week for Kate's benefit.
That would be handy. Thank you.
Give her a bit of time.
I'm fine starting at that a bit later.
I'm going to say, Ring. I think Hissy and I are going to start a little bit early, about half an hour earlier next week as well. So, because obviously we're trying to not overlap with your stream. So,
yeah,
we'll do that. You give Dave an hour that he can do his questions in the middle.
But,
we're only talking. We'll sort that out.
But it's for next
week. We'll discuss it on the Twitters.
Yeah, I think my microphone cut out for a sec. I said I agree with your statement, but it's for next week.
Yes, got it.
Yeah, I agree too.
Yeah. Right. I have a question.
Yeah, there is one thing that always kind of bothered me. I mean, as much as I love Star Wars, unfortunately, George Lucas had this tendency to try to inject really, really, really bad humor into it. I mean, like we could have done without all the slapstick among like the Jawas. We could have done without the cartoonish, salacious crumb. All of that.
Racism. Does anybody else see a little bit of racism in some of the characters, especially the aliens?
Oh, definitely.
It didn't come out as much until what we're talking about next week, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But no,
there's one or two bits.
Yeah, well, there were definitely caricatures within the first series of different races. So,
right. I have a question for everybody. Of the Orig Tridge, which is your favorite?
Empire.
Yeah,
you know what?
Empire.
At one time, I would have said Return of the Jedi when I was a kid. However, I think looking back on it now, Empire Strikes Back. You know, I appreciate that a lot more now, and that is just the obvious twist in the plot there, which is towards the end of that film.
Spoilers.
Yeah, it is the most famous plot. It is among the most famous plot twists in history. There needs to be no. There is no. There's no spoiler warning needed.
Also, one of my really favorite things about Empire is the way Yoda is introduced. When you really think this is little character who you think initially they're comic relief, you don't realize it's the person Luke's seeking out. You just see this little to me it was like what's this little goblin type thing here,
Found someone you have, I would say.
And you're misquoting that quote.
Yeah,
like most people do.
Yeah, I think it's no Luke.
There's no. He never says Luke.
He says
Luke. Says no. I am.
Found someone you have, I would say.
It's one of those things that all I was going to say the Mandalorian effect.
Okay.
The Mandela effect people.
Mandalorian
effect.
Well, I mean, it's the same as thinking that the Heaven's Gate people died of Kool-Aid instead of Flavor Aid.
You mean Jonestown people.
Or whatever.
Heaven's Gate was
I know. Dude, I'm barely like a quarter of the way through my caffeine. Cut me some slack.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's one of those weird cults.
I'm on my third beer, come on.
Oh, for goodness sake, we have to drink again.
Captain Rex is in Return of the Jedi. He's at the end when they're walking along in Endor. He's the older bald guy. It's fucking Captain Rex. That's the theory, at least, and a lot of people say it is. So I think that's pretty fucking cool.
Before we went off that tangent, what I was kind of saying is that the way Yoda was introduced I thought was absolutely brilliant, and then that reveal that this was the Master Luke was seeking I just think was perfect. The way that was done.
So
I just loved the visuals of Cloud City. That is baked into my brain as
I have a Cloud City story.
I've actually had arguments with people, like there are folks who are comparing it to other earlier sci-fi, not just the one we're supposed to drink about, where it was too polished and clean for people, and they said, "Oh, Star Wars is so dirty," and all of their examples were of these like backwater worlds where, of course, it's kind of the the hillbillies live here kind of thing, where Bespin, Cloud City, much more modern. And then you look at the inside of the spaceships, like the Rebel Corvette and all of that. I'm like, these are what to me sci-fi looks like.
And it has something to say.
The night before they shot the Cloud City scene, Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford stayed up doing coke and fooling around. By the way,
you gad.
True story.
Really?
So, you know.
Scandalous.
But I love.
And only one of them can tell us about it now.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck did Jen fucking drink?
Jen.
What the fuck? Look up.
By the way,
Sorry.
Hissy says she's thirsty, so I'm just going to say Hero's Journey.
Right. The reason I also pick Empire as my favorite, and the reason, along with it being kind of the middle bit where everything gets a bit darker, and there's more of the backdrop going on, and you learn a bit more about the universe and the background of the characters. But I just really love Hoth. I love snow and snowy places, and Hoth is awesome.
So you would say Hoth is
Vermont, and Vermont has a lot of snow. I kind of feel about snow the way Anakin feels about sand.
Yeah. So Badger, you would say that Hoth is cool.
But yes,
See, the one thing that would make Empire for me perfect, because it has one or two flaws, is that I love the space dogfighting. I mean, as much as we get the Battle of Hoth, it's on planet and not in space. And I love the Battle of Yavin at the end of A New Hope. So, and also the Battle of Endor, come to think of it. In fact, the Battle of Endor gave us the best of both worlds, planet combat and space combat. I would give a left body part for a Rogue Squadron movie or series. In fact, I was quite irritated when they named that one movie Rogue One without it being about Rogue Squadron. But seriously, Wedge Antilles is the best. I know a lot of people love to focus on the Skywalker family spat and all the Jedi and Sith, but to me, Rogue Squadron's where it's at. The Rebellion is the best part of Star Wars, in my never humble opinion.
Well, that's what makes it a war movie.
It's a very good point also that Wedge does not get enough appreciation.
Damn right.
Oh, yeah. Team Wedge.
I mean, blast it, Biggs. Where are you? Oh, it's okay. Wedge has come to save the day.
Okay, when you play like Battlefront and stuff, are you always doing the dog fighting, or do you play on the ground too?
I haven't
Ground.
played
Always
Battlefront
ground.
so long.
Okay. Well,
Did you play the Rogue Squadron game?
Battlefront 1 was ground only.
Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
And not the original two, the recent one, because you can do a lot of flying in that one.
I'm gonna have to get my hands on that then, because honestly,
But you can only pick it up for
I think one
about
of the
5 to
reasons
10
I haven't
bucks now.
played Battlefront in so long is because it sort of broke on my computer and I couldn't uninstall it for some reason.
Leia.
Yeah, they just finished the last major update that they're doing because they're coming out with a new game, so it should be relatively cheap now anyway.
Actually, that's another thing, is whenever there's a story-based game rather than an action-based game, it never has anything to do with the Rebellion, ever.
Yeah.
It's like you can play a Jedi or a Sith to your heart's content, but good luck playing a story-based Rebel.
That's a good point.
Well, there's the new one.
Everything is Jedi.
He's a Jedi, though. What's the new one called? Shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, they
and
cannot do Star Wars without at least one lightsaber, ever.
Yeah.
But that's
you're talking about
huge universe. And they always got to do the same thing over and over. It bugs me.
You're talking about Fallen Order.
Yes, I was just looking it up. Yes, that's a story-based game. You play as a He's a Jedi, although
he's Jedi again.
I have to hide it because it's after the Empire's taken over, and he plays as a Jedi the whole game. And it's story based.
That's a good topic for the expanded universe week.
God damn it! Okay, fuck me.
Okay.
Nerdy drink, bitch.
A long ass time ago, and I'm kind of ashamed of it now looking at it. I started animating my own Star Wars fan film. And maybe one of these days I will start like working on it where it looks better than it does now, because oh my gosh, does it look terrible now. I started it seriously like early 2000s. But I called it The Last Remnants because it was set around about the time of The Empire Strikes Back. And it was basically a bunch of undercover rebels who go way out into the Outer Rim to try to recruit worlds that the Empire hasn't absorbed yet. And they get to this one planet called Ularin at the same time as the Empire comes, and hilarity ensues.
There's actually quite a few
20 minutes of it done, and then something happened and I had to quit.
There's a lot of fanfic films that you can find on YouTube that are really well done. Like they were funded and everything, and they have got great stories and they do it very well. So I think you should pick it up again, Kate.
I've got a
should, but I have to finish my current project first.
I've got a third way written fan fiction story that will fit quite well in the expanded universe bit.
Yeah.
Ring hates us so much right now.
Original trilogy.
So I guess that's another good thing about the original trilogy is it tells its story, but it leaves a lot open for people to fill in the gaps.
And there are.
And unfortunately, a company we're not going to talk about did a lot of that.
No.
Badly.
Yeah. No, I can't talk about those, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just can't mention the name of the place that did it.
Yeah.
We're not bringing them up
so
yet.
much. I'm not giving them any more of my money, but.
Well, yeah. That's not a shot thing. That's we're trying to keep Badger sane thing.
Strike one.
Okay. Here's something that I think is like that particular company dropped the ball on. You know that theme park that they have in Florida now, and they named it Galaxy's Edge. And I'm sitting here thinking, what chowderhead did not name it Orlando Calrissian?
Oh, that's brilliant.
Come on.
It's you in the internet.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So original trilogy.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite character, everyone?
Wedge Antilles.
Yeah, okay.
That was quick.
I know that Wedge is the best character objectively.
It seemed to vary from film to film in a lot of ways, but was definitely a big fan of Han Solo all the time, and in a lot of ways, definitely was a fan of Princess Leia. I've become more of a fan of Princess Leia as I've gone on because. But especially just in that first film, that when I said that you're having the lot of the traditional sort of like elements of the fairy tale. I mean, in a certain sense, she's supposed to be the damsel in distress, but then you actually watch her when they rescue her, and she takes the lead, and you're like, no, this is not a damsel in distress whatsoever. This is a really tough woman. This is a really tough, strong woman.
I love Leia.
Did you ever notice? No, go on.
Amanda was saying
go
something.
on.
When Alderaan gets blown up, she's like sad for 3 seconds, and then she just completely forgets about it. So I love Leia. She might be my favorite character, but that part really bugged me. She's like, what planet's gone? Everybody I've ever loved.
I think there's an important psychological aspect to that, and my way of looking at it is it demonstrates how much stronger emotionally than all the other characters Leia is, because everyone she's ever known, apart from like a couple of people who weren't on the planet at the time, has just died, and the next scene she's comforting Luke because Ben Kenobi died.
Well,
Yeah.
if you notice, I mean, there's two things about her. Number one, when she's sort of bantering back and forth with Governor Tarkin, you notice she's sort of faking a British accent, like she's trying to be all posh. But as soon as they break her out of prison, all of a sudden her accent goes kind of street, like for Star Wars. You know, and it's like that shows a little bit of her layers. But also, if you notice, she sort of starts to mourn a little bit once they hit Yavin, once they're in safety. Yeah. You know, like she starts talking, we all have our sorrows. Like she literally says that line. And so it's like, obviously she was holding it back until she was safe to do it. You know, and
it shows the strength of character.
Broke down in private somewhere to maintain that public veneer of strength. Yeah. So,
and she was a princess, so it's the kind of thing.
She is a consummate diplomat.
She's also
to my mind, I'd have to go for the character who would steal almost every scene he was in, and that's 3PO.
Oh, fuck 3PO. No.
Actually, the droids as the sort of light heart, maybe they are kind of the comic relief or whatever. But if you think about the first film, the original film, for the first 15, 20 minutes or so of that film, the droids are the center of the story.
Yeah.
And as a kid watching it, and you got to remember, this was aimed at kids and teenagers. For the first time, you go, holy crap! How are they doing that? And it was just completely immersive having these two droids running the show pretty much from the beginning.
If I'm not mistaken, that George Lucas actually sort of based this on some old Japanese story that he'd read somewhere about like these two peasants who were kind of almost like the lowest of the low in the lowest part of society, that were witness to these kind of great events or whatever. I mean, I don't even know if it was true that he originally had or toyed with the idea of telling the entire story through the droids to begin with. I don't know, but there was some story that there was, you can see that sort of influence though, because you look at the way Darth Vader's, but there is like that helmet's slightly like a samurai helmet, you know.
Oh yeah.
I forget the name of the story that it was.
George Lucas like lifted from everything.
Movie.
Well, they're all heroes' journeys, so.
Damn it, I mean, Hissy was first, was she?
I'm trying to remember the name of the movie now. This is bugging me. Might have been Ron. I'm not sure. No, The Hidden Fortress. That's what it was. The Hidden Fortress.
Okay, who hasn't said their favorite characters from the original trilogy yet?
Yeah.
I did. I said I love Leia, but I kind of, have a soft spot for Chewie too.
Yeah.
Now, his character changed quite a bit because originally he was supposed to be literally Han Solo's dog, and then he got a lot more intelligent in Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I liked the chemistry between the two of them, and even though you see Chewbacca as almost a pet when you first see him because he can't speak English and he's kind of always in the background, Han treats him like his best friend, like an equal, and I like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, but I mean, George Lucas literally modeled him after a dog that used to ride next to him in like his Jeep or something. I mean, Chewbacca is literally supposed to be Han Solo's dog.
Well, like in
would explain why he doesn't get a medal.
He gets the medal later on.
No.
Sorry.
I mean, I'm talking about in A New Hope. Why he?
I know.
And I know it gets explained later
because
why
he
didn't
have any medals with a long enough ribbon to fit round his neck, and they didn't want to give Princess Leia a stool.
He could have bowed his head. Come on.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. But this is what I said. Why the kind of thing. Why I like Han so much as a character. That you get that point that you get that idea that in a way he seems to be a bit of a cynic, but I think deep down there is a sort of idealism, very deep down in him. And I mean, and I think he didn't want no part of the Battle of Yavin, does he? To begin with, he's like, I'm taking my money, I'm paying off my debt to Jabba, and that's it. And I don't know, for whatever reason, he's just like, maybe because Luke guilted him or whatever. It was like he comes in a way. He kind of comes in and saves the day right at the end of the first movie. Really,
What about you, Ring? You didn't answer.
Yeah. Out of the original trilogy,
You're going with Aunt Beru, aren't you?
Actually,
She gave him the blue milk.
No, I'm probably gonna say Yoda.
Yoda would be high on my list.
Yeah. If we're talking main characters, I'm probably gonna have to go with probably Han Solo.
Notice none of any of the Empire characters.
Well, they're really shallow, most of them. I mean, I think the most developed Imperial character who's not Vader or the Emperor was probably Captain Nita.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very two-dimensional. You just think it's just.
I'm going to pick.
They're basically space Nazis.
Possible Admiral Piet as well, but
I'm going to pick Admiral Ozzel just to break the mold.
But yeah, if we're talking Empire, characters, Darth Vader, hands down.
Oh yeah,
he was the most developed character of the Empire in that original trilogy. If we're just taking the films and none of the expanded universe stuff, and we're just looking at the films by themselves, because there isn't an awful lot to Palpatine really in the original trilogy of films. Or you just know that he's evil and he's the overlord of the galaxy.
Big bad man with lightning fingers.
That's all you really know about Palpatine. And Vader, where it obviously becomes more apparent in Empire and then into Return of the Jedi that.
That's Captain Nita playing Jesus in Life of Brian.
I should also mention I met the actor, and he was having a really bad day because he was at a convention and he had like the flu. But he had to be there, but because he'd said he was going to be there, but he had like the flu or something, so he was sitting there signing stuff, looking at people sadly. I don't feel very well.
And Santi, we're not discussing that, but but in regards to media musings, the expanded universe is getting its own week, so
it still exists.
I'll be there for that.
Beyond Timothy Zahn, I don't care for it, and Michael Stackpole is a complete total hack.
There's one more Clone Wars, by the way, people.
I'm a massive expanded universe guy.
So.
Yeah. I'm a massive expanded universe guy, so I'll be there for that one.
And I will
with a proper diet and exercise regimen, you could be a regular size expanded universe guy.
Yeah, people keep trying to get me to lose some expanded universe, but I'm not doing it.
Badger, I got to put you up against Angel. I wonder which one of you knows more. So, just curious.
Wait a minute, Angel. In 3 weeks.
Yeah, he'll come on.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah,
and I will largely be leaning on Badger and probably Angel for that week because I haven't really I kind of know some of the deeper lore. But I haven't really read much of it because
I'm pretty blank on it too, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, because I'm one of those people who needs a starting point and needs to read things in order, and I couldn't figure out where to start.
Yeah, that is true.
I've got some recommendations for you, Rick.
Yeah. But the comics are fucking key. That's where you find the little nuggets of what actually happened in this history. But for another week. Sorry.
Yeah, for another week.
Original trilogy, though.
Share this picture. Share the picture.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. We got so many people in the we got so many people in the stream that I can't really see when a new screen share pops up. Oh, okay.
Oh, was that Jen, by any chance?
No, it was...
that was Bionic Dance.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed in you.
No, well,
So,
every time I heard that Vader was seduced by the dark side, I was like, yeah, but so I had to make that picture, and it's a sort of offhand Blackadder reference too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some in some of the ways, the plot twists and such do kind of help make the story, more elaborate and more, somewhat more expansive and more complex. But they do make some things a bit, some of the early, in that context, they make some of the earlier bits a bit problematic.
Taxi. I just spilled booze everywhere.
Yeah, there are a few continuity errors, but I don't think they're all that important, most of them.
Well, the two ones I'm thinking of, one, it does make Obi-Wan a bit shadier. How he, the twist about Darth Vader,
Yeah, there's no reason he couldn't have told him that.
Yeah.
There's reasons. I don't think he probably should have just come out with it.
Oh no. I was going to say
then,
Lucas. Lucas hadn't decided on it when he filmed the first one.
Yeah.
There's in-universe reasons, but I think
that's what Sherry means.
It's also important to understand that even your most admirable characters have flaws, and without them, they're not characters.
True. But it can make it look, can look like Obi-Wan's kind of being deliberate, kind of deliberately being a dick about it.
That's what Sharon means. That's what Sharon means. So if we ever talk about this with our,
it was true from a certain point of view.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question then: do you think
I didn't
that
lie to
Vader
you from a
being
certain
the
point
father
of view.
was always part of it, like from A New Hope, or did that come about because of Empire?
Made me miss you.
I think that may have been in Lucas's mind, but I'm not sure
that.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
I think it may have been in Lucas's mind, but I don't want to say that for definite.
And then of course there's the accidental incest.
Which means father.
Oh yeah, Darth Vader does pretty much mean Dark Father.
Yeah.
Also, the hint was always there.
Yeah. So.
Well, okay. Again, share picture. Do stormtroopers really never hit anybody? I mean, they slaughter anyone who's not a named character.
Yeah. Plot armor.
Of
course, plot armor is a device as old as fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's just that heroes are harder to hit. That
standard the best
brilliant.
And it was obviously a little blooper that they left in the original Star Wars movie.
The guy mashing his head.
The guy knocking his head on the door. on the, it's like,
yeah.
I don't know whoever decided that is great. We got to leave that in. That's George Lucas or whoever. That's genius just to leave that in. Because this obviously was not planned. That was that was obviously a blooper. And
yeah.
Well, it's also possible nobody noticed in the editing room.
Or by then it's too late and you've kind of got to leave it in.
I think it's completely understandable that these stormtroopers, they're running around this moon-sized space station all day. It's entirely likely that one of them is going to knock himself out on a door frame at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember folks back in the day were saying that... Like they thought the stormtroopers were all robots.
Yeah.
And they're totally not, because their armor can be peeled off them and put on by Han. Although one kind of disturbing thing, I think, is it seems like there might be some sort of black spandex under the uniform, and I'm wondering if, like, Han and Luke put that on, and whether it's possible that one of those stormtroopers was going commando, and if either one of them was like, "Ew, oh God, I got the one with who was free." You know.
Thanks for that image, Kate. Thanks.
Hey, I'm a helper.
Check your DMs.
Check my DMs.
Kate, that's never crossed my mind.
It has now, unfortunately.
Okay, here's another question for you. Imperial Walkers, what would you say, how would you pronounce their official name?
I would pronounce them 8080.
Because I remember back in the day in 1980, everyone said at.
It's not that, it's AT-AT. Yeah, but I remember that too.
Now, I think they said at because there weren't so many other abbreviations to look at where you could realize that doesn't make sense.
See, I always heard the term stilt walkers for the ATST when I was a kid, but I don't think it was a proper term.
I remember playing. There was a Rogue Squadron game that I had years ago, and I would fly around in an X-wing. And one of the cheat codes you could put in, I think the cheat code, you would type in "I am chicken," and it would turn you into an ATST. And that was awesome. Apart from I couldn't complete the bloody missions afterwards because you couldn't fly in an ATST. So I was just hiking around the mountains trying to get to the objectives, and I couldn't do it. Oh dear.
But
yeah, well, take heart. I'm pretty sure that's the last of my Star Wars meet. No, I take it back. I've got other Star Wars meet.
There's loads. There is loads.
Oh, yes, but I mean the ones I've got.
I got a load of ones for next week.
But okay, how to get back on track, because we are off the side of a cliff right now.
Well, Andrew's comment, the only reason they missed the gang on the Star Destroyer is because Darth Vader specifically ordered them to miss, because they wanted them to escape.
Speaking of AT-ATs.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they did. They put the tracker on board the Falcon. He needed them to escape.
Nice.
Can I have that?
I have a really big, I think they showed on a 6-pack. I have a Millennium Falcon.
Okay, well, here's a question though. Like, he wanted to follow them back to the hidden Rebel fortress and all that, but that tracking device they hid on the ship was the size of a bloody coffin. And I'm like, why would you need something that big? Was the transmitter the reason, like, they needed it that big to follow it, or what? And where did they put it that Han Solo doesn't notice it?
Yeah. And surely if they wanted a transmitter on board the ship, they've got that much time. Surely they could hack something into the actual ship's system to transmit back.
Was that thing they brought onto the Millennium Falcon actually the homing beacon, though?
I think it might have been the
scanning crew.
I think it might have been
scanning. You might be right, but still, you'd think it could be handheld.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it was you're going to put a beacon in there, it's going to be something like yay big, which you could hide somewhere. And
yeah.
Well, they had much smaller ones, but that's for next week.
Yeah.
Picture.
Thank you.
I actually say of all the like Star Wars parodies I've seen on YouTube, I like the one of the Snatch one when they've dubbed Darth Vader's voiceover with Bricktop from Snatch. That is brilliant.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
Have you seen Hardware Wars?
Yes.
Oh, that was made like way back in the day, and they had like Luke Starbucker ham salad and
Obi-Wan
Augie Ben Doggy and all that. I mean, it was made on the cheap because and hell, it was the 70s or 80s when they made it, but it was pretty funny back in the day.
Well, there's a great parody I remember from I think it must have been the mid to late 90s called Troops. I don't know if anyone saw that.
Oh yeah, Troopers.
Yeah, bad boys, what you gonna do? And they parodying cops, In
answer to his questions, they were under fire when they got back on board the Millennium Falcon. He didn't have time for pre-flight checks. He just got that thing going and flew out.
Someone tell Nerdy I'm going to slap him as well.
Are you thirsty?
Okay, that is horrifying.
That's super.
That is horrifying right there.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons I shouldn't be let near Photoshop, I guess.
Someone tell Nerdy I'm going to slap him as well.
Oh, I'm already fucking going after Nerdy. He knows why. He knows why.
Yeah. But so
no, okay. Was anyone else ever just like possibly the single most graphic moment in all of Star Wars has to be the burned corpses of Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru?
Yeah, that was pretty fucked up.
Yeah,
this is PG, folks.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking that earlier when you mentioned Aunt Beru. All I could think about was like her burned out skull. And
when I saw it as a kid, that was cut out at the drive-ins.
Really?
They might have had them in the cinema, but at the drive-ins, they were cut out.
Huh.
So we didn't see the bodies, and it wasn't until I watched it on TV a couple of years later that what?
There's also a lot of hands, or there's less hands than there were when the film started, like a lot.
There we go.
I will say that it does make sense in the context of the universe that, like, if you have a sword that'll cut through anything, best way to disarm your opponent is literally disarm your opponent.
So, I mean, okay, I've often wondered about exactly how lightsabers are supposed to work. I mean,
yeah.
And also because I've heard that the blade is actually razor thin, but it glows so much that it looks bigger. And I wonder, because they block blaster bolts with lightsabers all the time, what would happen if it was like a bullet or a slug thrower or some sort of mini rail gun? Like, would it split the bullet in half and still hit you?
I think it would possibly. I think it would depend on the size of the bullet. It might vaporize it.
I think you're all overthinking it.
Back. When you watch them do it, it's not just vaporizing it; they hit the bullet back a lot of times.
Yeah, but that's
those are plasma bolts.
That's shooting energy.
I think you're all overthinking this stuff.
But it does make sense that a lot of the hand weapons, the personal armaments would be plasma based, because do you really want to be firing projectiles in a spaceship?
True.
Yeah.
Do you want to be firing plasma bolts in a spaceship?
Yeah.
Probably safer than like something that can pierce the hull.
Plasma would pierce the hull.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problems with that. The problem you would have with bullets or projectiles inside the hull of those ships would be when you hit something and it bounces, because you think you have no idea where it's going.
Yeah.
This is why I actually appreciate being the one who's totally ignorant in science in the room. Because I can tell you guys are seriously overthinking this shit.
Get your science out of my space wizards.
Yeah, God damn it.
Get your space
Anytime
wizards out of my
I
science.
see on board a spaceship in a movie, I go, well, that's dumb.
You think you're worried about like plasma bolts and that, and then you like, and We don't even really bring up the concept of the Force, you know. Hello.
We do have an astrophysicist, so let's ask the astrophysicist in the room.
No,
or the former astrophysicist, now scientist.
She's still an astrophysicist. Just because she does climate change now doesn't mean she's no longer an astrophysicist.
But it's just an undergrad degree, so I don't know as much as most people. But no, it absolutely wouldn't. In fact, it would be worse. It would be a cleaner hole and everything with the plasma bullets. Then you would have less of a chance of there being like a ricochet or something that you would have with physical bullets than you would with a plasma bullet. So,
well, you have some very obvious ricocheting going on in A New Hope when they're in the garbage compactor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is magnetically sealed.
Yeah, which doesn't really make any sense. But
no, it makes no sense at all.
I mean, I have to admit, one of my favorite parts of science fiction is when it doesn't necessarily make sense. You know, I do think a lot of people overthink it, and there are certain sci-fi that shall not be named, where a lot of the hard science is completely made up. You know,
hand wavery.
Oh, it's so scientific. I actually really enjoy just watching people's ideas of what if the science looked like this.
The Heisenberg compensator is malfunctioning.
Now I'm going to drink.
Amanda is going to talk.
Yeah. For me, I have a lot of problems watching shit that gets physics wrong. It drives me nuts, and I yell at the screen when I see it. So, and I understand the need or the desire to make up their own science, but physics is the same everywhere. So
I do it too, Amanda, but I still love sci-fi, so I try to suspend.
I know a lot of people like the term is science fiction. Some people it's science fiction. To other people, it's science fiction. If you see what I'm saying.
I do see what you're saying.
Amanda, if you get this stuff with like physics before, how are you a fan of Star Wars?
It's a suspension of disbelief. I can do it to a certain degree, but when things are just blatantly fucking wrong, you know.
This is a subject I know. Even like the whole concepts of like the dog fights in between the fighters and that, it's almost set as if it would be in atmosphere. A lot of that, if you look at the
they've always in the fire in space. Nope.
Yeah.
But
I have some books to recommend to you later.
That's the thing. You just suspend your disbelief on this stuff.
See, teleportation in any franchise annoys me because they miss over the whole stupid thing that if you're going to teleport somebody, you are effectively making a copy of them at the other end.
No,
so if the original has now disappeared, you have killed the original to make
No. If it's the same molecules, then it's not killing.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's close enough that everybody needs to drink.
Thank you.
Lots
of franchises have teleportation.
And I have some book recommendations for you.
But it's not teleportation if it's replication on the other end.
Anyways,
sod Star Trek. Come on, let's get the real stuff.
The whole hyperdrive is a bit problematic, from a physics standpoint in Star Wars. It does make sense in a socio-political kind of way, because you can't have a galaxy spanning, government, be it a republic or an empire, without some way to circumvent the speed of light and allow for communication.
To be honest, I don't have as much issues with the hyperdrive in Star Wars as I do with some other shows that have
that shall remain unnamed.
No, that have hyperdrives or whatever else they have, because Star Wars never actually tries to explain it. It just says they can do it.
Yeah, there's an explanation. You go into hyperspace. It's a separate thing.
And I'm
Amanda,
perfectly
you
fine
were
with
going to say something?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I'm good.
Well, hyperdrive. I mean, okay, granted, I'm sure it bugs everybody, the whole Kessel Run and lesson, with the parsecs and
that was so annoying.
And don't use parsecs for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose it depends on what the Kessel Run itself is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they explained it in Rogue One.
I have to navigate around.
Solo, sorry, not Rogue One.
Yeah, that's a different
company by a company that shall remain nameless.
But
I didn't mention any company.
Kessel Run has like a bunch of obstacles in the way, and so people have to take a roundabout route. But Han was able to navigate these obstacles, then I suppose you could say that it was fewer parsecs that he traveled. But that's a big old stretch.
Yeah,
that was exactly the tape they used.
Actually, it's less of a stretch because it's shorter distance.
Oh,
I know.
Badger.
The whole hyperspace thing is, I understand the necessity of it in stories like this, but it's true that, not going to the science of it and the fact that scientifically not really possible anyway, it's just, So.
Well, but then you get shows like Babylon 5 with Stargates and, other shows that bend space, that kind of thing. So, I mean, everyone finds some way to make space travel have nothing to do with, say, like relativistic effects like time dilation and all that shit. So.
Yeah. And there are solutions to general relativity that suggest that this is possible. So saying that it's impossible, I don't think is quite fair, Amanda. It's more a case of it's impossible for us. And it could actually be impossible, but we actually don't know. It's one of those things that maybe, but it requires some pretty unique physics that we're not even sure is possible.
No, I mean, one thing that does kind of bother me a little bit, I mean, they call it hyperdrive, but has anyone ever created, like sort of a fairly calm drive, a not very active drive, taking it quite casually drive,
Yeah.
That's a Volvo.
That's my drive. That's my drive right there.
You have a Volvo?
They used to.
Why does that not surprise me, Badger?
Oh dear.
or perhaps an Adderall drive for when your hyperdrive's a bit too hyper.
My Starship has ADHD.
Right.
Yeah, I've got books to recommend you for later.
Okay, let's make everyone drink with this picture.
So Badger, you're like Ken Ham. You've got a book for that.
I'm going to bed.
Yeah, well,
What's happened to my volume? There we go. Let's try that.
That's a lot of line noise, dude.
Yeah, sorry, that's my ship's engines picking up.
Quite.
Right. So, who is everybody's favorite Imperial officer?
Gotta go with Nita.
Yeah, I'd go with Nita.
I'm going to go with Ozzel because he's as clumsy as he is stupid.
And that's a thing to like about him?
Yeah.
He's the bad guy.
I mean, okay, General Veers has his appeal, I will admit.
Yeah, actually, yeah, Veers. Veers is my guy.
But I still got to go with Nita because, in a way, you almost respect him. If you look at some of his facial expressions, it's pretty obvious that he does not like what he's doing. And I would imagine if he had survived, Jedi, the Battle of Endor, and if the rebellion hadn't ended right then, which it should have, he might have jumped ship and joined the rebels.
And
I think that would have been a very interesting alternative, whatever you want, universe story is Captain Nita escaping and joining the rebels. I think that would have been awesome.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to go with Scummer and say Grand Moff Tarkin because he's the only one I can name.
Oh,
I like Grand Moff Tarkin just wandering around the Death Star in his slippers.
I like Tarkin in that, yeah.
Quaking the Raven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tarkin is just easy to hate, Yeah. So
walking around the Death Star in his slippers.
It certainly helps who played him. So
yeah.
I do wonder sometimes how Lucas managed to con a bunch of really well-known actors to get into Star Wars. I know that wow, brain not work now. Obi-Wan's actor Alec Guinness, was not the world's happiest camper about how Star Wars was how everyone knew him.
If I understand it correctly, he took the role because of the costume.
Really?
I heard that.
I heard that he took the role because he got to wear the Jedi robes.
And not only
practical robes to wear for a sword fight.
Oh yeah.
I think they got Peter Cushing just because he got to walk around the Death Star in slippers.
Yeah, and not only get them on board the project, but actually get them to show up and work, because you can tell when an actor's just there for the paycheck or just there to be there.
So,
and you don't really have that in the original trilogy.
No.
I was going to say, you talk about Imperial Characters. What I did say Grand Moff Tarkin. Another one I don't know why. Maybe even because it may have been stupid or brave. I'm not quite sure. Admiral Motti in the first film. Please stand.
Oh,
yeah.
Being snarky to the evil space wizard.
People who don't know Admiral Motti, if you're not that's the guy who mouthed off to Darth Vader and got force choked in the first film. But you mentioned Alec Guinness. Any of you ever see the interview he did with Michael Parkinson a little bit after Star Wars? Because part of the deal for him was George Lucas said it was like that there'd be part of the deal was he'd get like 2% of the proceeds if the film made any money, because it was it wasn't a sure thing. We didn't know how this was going to go. And getting near the release date or whatever, and George Lucas ups his deal to say ups his deal and says, we're going to up your deal to like 2.5% on this. And it's like, he's like, oh, great, this sounds really cool. So anyway, the movie's released or whatever, and obviously it is a it is a financial success or whatever. Yeah. And Alec Guinness phones him and says, hey, we've got to sort that deal out. I says, oh, you mean about that extra 0.25%?
Oh, wow.
He's still got his deal up, and he's obviously, Alec Guinness joked about it because he obviously, I know he was frustrated about being almost like, of all his acting background to be like sort of almost typecast as Obi-Wan Kenobi after it, but he also appreciated the kind of fact that it did make his retirement a hell of a lot easier, and he lived not far from where he actually always lived, about 15 miles from where I live now, from me. So he stayed in Hampshire his whole life. He never moved to Hollywood or anything. He stayed in Petersfield. It was just a tiny little town in Hampshire, England.
Speaking of profits and money from Star Wars, one part of its legacy that honestly I wish hadn't happened. Lucas did not take like a percentage of the profits, as I understand it. The studio let him make the movie because he said he wanted all of the merchandising rights. Yeah. And he made so much money off of all the toys and everything that ever since then, movie studios want the external marketing, the peripherals, all of that stuff so much that they actually sometimes write characters specifically to sell toys of them, and it's like kind of frustrating now.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Scummer's story is a good way to transition into one of the biggest impacts Star Wars has had on media as a whole, and that's of course the merchandising.
Toys.
That was a terrible Mel Brooks.
Merchandising.
I have a Chewbacca from the original movie, from the original merchandising. Obviously not in stock anymore, but still.
Well, I mean, they never made a figure of Wedge Antilles when it first came out. I have one now, and it's up on my wall still in the package. Not that I'm one of those mint in package people, but I'm not going to play with it, so I might as well leave it in the package and just look at it.
Yeah,
and but Wedge Antilles is objectively the best character.
Absolutely.
And of course, the merchandising is really where they beat out Trek.
Stop that! I'm about to drink.
These are your rules, Ring.
Yeah, I know. Because he was thirsty.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I did get it like a toy of Luke Skywalker, but it came from a second-hand store.
Yeah.
Nobody.
I had one of the original Boba Fett's, which actually came with all the extra bits.
Okay, I had one of those plastic sabers where it had all of the air holes in it, so when you swung it, it made this sick elephant noise.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But of course,
so many lightsabers, but they're all bent at the end from hitting each other. So yeah.
Did you ever did it ever bug anybody that Luke's lightsaber with the action figure was yellow? Like there's ever been a yellow lightsaber in the movies?
Oh, there has been, isn't there?
No.
Yeah. Well,
no. In the pre.
No.
There are yellow lightsabers in the extended universe, and there's a reason for that. It has to do with your swordsmanship, I think. But not in the.
Actually, I think it has something to do with your role as a Jedi, but I mean that's nowhere in the actual canon.
Okay.
Like the only non-standard lightsaber color is the only lightsaber that's not red, green, or blue is Mace Windu's.
He wanted to stand out. And Badger. You say anything?
We're talking movie canon.
Expanded universe.
Ridge Tridge. We are talking,
but we're not doing movie canon this week. Expanded University University Expanded Universe.
Expanded University is getting your PhD.
Yeah.
I will be here for the Expanded Universe week, and I will tell you all about it.
Okay. I look forward to it.
I mean, I think because you said with the merchandising, I think Kenner Toys was a very, very small company that got real big off of Star Wars. That they were the only ones who took a chance on this. And they got really big off of Star Wars line. They did.
Yeah.
Well, let's face it, and we're going to have to drink. I'm sorry. The only reason why the unmentionable company bought Star Wars wasn't for the movies; it was for the merchandise.
Yeah.
Do we have to drink for? Is that? Do we have to drink for that one? No, I think that's fair.
Yeah, that one's fair. Okay, cool.
Yeah. The unmentionable company wasn't a drink thing; it was a keep Badger's sanity thing.
Well, I mean, if they changed the plot a little, and instead of having Luke's hand cut off, they had cut off a bit of his leg, he totally could have complained about Disney over here.
That one is so bad, everybody has to drink to.
Yeah, I think we have to drink on that one.
God damn it!
Everyone was sitting there all pink and naked. I had to point at it.
Everyone got your pun, Nate, and nobody picked on my pun at the second-hand store.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it.
Oh, now that deserves a drink, that one. that was so long, man.
But
Yeah. No, I'm trying to remember what it was. There was like a cyberpunk story or something where someone's hand had been lopped off. And every now and then it would do some sort of self-diagnostic where it would start whirring and buzzing, like if it was still for too long. And I wonder if Luke's ever did that.
yeah, but of course, to put it back on the topic, and I will ignore what we've already covered, and we've already drunk enough as is.
Before you move on, there was something I wanted to mention about Luke's hand. Like at the end of Empire, where he's like flexing his fingers, you can see the little like joints or pistons or whatever, servo motors clicking along with it. I still look at that effect and go, that's awesome. Because it's really hard to tell where like Mark Hamill's hand ends and the prop begins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
sidelining to a different franchise that isn't one we have to drink for, do people think that Doctor Who kind of ripped that off when they had David Tennant's Doctor have his hand cut off in a sword fight?
Yes.
I stopped watching Doctor Who after Sylvester McCoy, but that's another story.
You're like me, Kate. You're classic era Who.
Anyways,
I prefer classic. Classic. The classic era Who as well. So
Classic.
Anyways, I think another reason why particularly the original trilogy works so well is because it lifts a bunch of inspiration, from a bunch of different sources, blends them all together, and then slaps a sci-fi coat of paint over it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a pulp sci-fi serial and a war serial and a samurai movie, all
and a hero story.
All rolled into one.
Well, I mean, I could go into again the whole like definition of sci-fi thing where you can slap that coat of paint on something and it changes the genre completely, where a lot of people say no, the genre is all about like character and storytelling. But if you look at Seven Samurai, The Magnificent Seven, and Battle Beyond the Stars, they're all the same story, just with a different setting. And nobody will deny that The Magnificent Seven is a Western and not a samurai film. So if Star Wars is set in a setting with other planets, space, spaceships, aliens. Fucking sci-fi.
Yeah. Well,
I agree.
So a lot of, and we'll probably have to have a spaghetti western, like if not an episode, then at least maybe even a whole month, because a lot of spaghetti. Yeah, a lot of spaghetti westerns are basically rehashed samurai movies.
Ooh. Oh, if you're going to do that, we have to really cover Terence Hill and Bud Spencer.
Sorry, say that again. Cover what?
Terence Hill and Bud Spencer. Oh my God, I'm too old.
In my life.
I mean, and I know this is. I know I'm kind of breaking rules here. This is not anything. This is not the original trilogy, and it's the people who we shall not name. But the Solo movie was kind of a space western in a lot of ways.
Well, I think Han Solo was originally designed to be sort of a cowboy.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, I mean, look at his outfit.
In the original trilogy, you actually hear him use a lot of sort of cowboyish language.
He's like
like it ain't like dusting crops, boy. That whole sort of thing. He's really
who's scruffy looking.
Yeah. Han Solo Han Solo is literally look at his outfit. He is designed to be a cross between a pirate and a cowboy.
He's not scruffy looking there.
Well, I actually do think that in a way that Han Leia thing is one of the best love stories in sci-fi as well. The way that's told over the original trilogy.
There were times I wondered about that, though. I mean, It's
the way they start off hating each other, and you know.
Yep.
Like, I mean, why is Han Solo even attracted to her, really?
She's pretty much the only option.
Well, okay.
That might be it, yeah. But
there's one
horrible thought. Do you think Luke ever used that mechanical hand of his for a little private time?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Does it also have a vibrate setting?
Sitting on it for a while, so you can't feel it anymore.
Leia's
actually need to by that point, because I'm pretty sure you could force wank by then.
Okay,
oh my god!
So
we're being seduced by the dark side.
So we're reaching near 2 hours, and
on that note.
and my StreamYard is a free account, so I want to make sure there's enough time for the other weeks. So
make sure there's not that expanded.
If we have problems,
I have another stream to get to in about 15 minutes. So
yeah. If we do have problems with that ring, I'll do it as a production and stream it to your account for you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Anyways, so Scummer, go ahead and shill yourself.
Okay, I'm Jeff, aka God the Scummer. Got a tiny little YouTube channel. As you know, so I've been doing a bit of a series recently with Hissy. Do you know her, Ring, at all? You met her?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, she's
I think we ran across each other.
telling me to mention Joseph Campbell.
There you go. On the road.
I want to say, Ring. You know Hissy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we've been doing a little collaboration with her. We've been going through the Asterix books recently, so which I'm really enjoying doing with her. So, but yeah, I'm as I said when I was on with Amanda last night, I am a world-class scientist, expert philosopher, and complete bullshitter. and emphasis on the third one.
Yeah. So, okay, and now Amanda.
I'm Amanda.
Oh.
Yeah.
Amanda's got a show coming up with Kate on Kate's channel. So
I figured Kate could talk about it. So
and aren't you also interviewing? What's his name? Help me out, Amanda.
We might not. It depends. So we'll see.
Oh, you might not. Okay.
Yeah. Just because Chris had to back out, and yeah.
But
okay, so you're not sure.
Astrophysicist turned climate scientist. I haven't even had any alcohol, and I'm sweating.
And I was just say there was
turned YouTuber star extraordinaire, Mama Atheist. Go ahead and subscribe to her. She does something like Media Musings, only based off TV.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say we did, because I was on with Amanda for her TV time last night. We did Breaking Bad, and we had Chris Shelton on to do that with us, and it was a really good stream. I encourage people to go and watch it.
And next weekend is Critical Cripple, and Matt Pig and I are doing Rick and Morty.
So, nice.
Cool.
And I am going to work on watching seasons 2 and 3 of Jessica Jones, so we can do that soon.
Awesome.
Oh, cool. Oh, now I've got to watch 3. I started to and didn't get into it as much as the first 2.
And Bionic Dance.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Bionic Dance, aka Kate, and mostly my channel is about explaining to religious people why the hell they're wrong. As I say, or as Jen said, I will be doing a collab with Mama Atheist. It may be a little weird because I've never actually done a live stream response to someone's video, so bear with us. But it should be a lot of fun.
Make sure you pause often.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
To
we
drink.
may have to adopt the movie night thing of shouting drink when we need to, but we'll see.
Right.
So after you've done that, Kate, are you going to come on movie night?
I've never been invited, but I wouldn't mind.
Oh, no.
Although-
There's an
although-
invite there for you. There's definitely an invite there for you.
Oh,
I'll
no one
show you
mentioned
the-
that to me before. Although, actually,
Oh.
I also would like maybe not be so useful because movie night tends to be about science far more than philosophy. And really, I tend to attack people's illogic rather than their scientific facts. So,
We tend to attack them for being idiots as well. So,
well,
I mean,
yeah, but I mean, it's a little outside my wheelhouse, is all I'm saying.
Kate, I do not know
Depends
nothing
on the
about
wheel.
science. Kate, I know nothing about science or philosophy, but when he's dealing with people like flat earthers, even I can go to town. Okay, so
Yeah,
it's fine.
yeah. You don't know nothing or nothing.
If I have some way to reply to any kind of invite to movie night, I don't know how. So if anyone's watching who knows how to do that, shoot me a link.
I'll
sometime.
sort it out for you, Kate.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the
Badger.
way, Badger, I heard what you said, and Badger should be cold.
Hey, I'll sort you out, Jeff.
But anyways, Badger,
Oh,
kill yourself.
I'm Bad-Tempered Badger. I appear in people's live streams and talk about Star Wars.
and get
And-
sad.
And
I
also,
I also have a YouTube channel where I do some other stuff, but it's largely Star Wars these days. I do story readings, and I do a bit of the atheism-related stuff and pointing out the religious issues and the stuff like that. My most recent story features at least one person in here. And it's quite excellent, and you should have a look.
oh. Yeah, because
Real quick, I kind of do have
I
to
think
go.
that
I have
narrows-
another stream to get to, so
Yeah,
I'll
that narrows
catch
it
you with
down
geniuses
to-
later.
that's
No
it.
worries. Catch you later, Kate. Bye.
Thank you later.
I think that narrows it down to myself, Manza, and Jen, really. So
So what was that, Ree?
Oh, it was rather difficult to read those lines without completely losing it.
So you can find me on YouTube, Twitter, BitChute, Gab, Minds, and Pornhub. And there is.
Badger, what was your email address again?
I'm just getting to that, actually, Jeff.
What?
If anyone wants to come on my channel for a discussion on, within reason, any topic, as long as we can have a friendly chat, my email address is badger@cock.li.
Yeah, let the mustelid talk. And let the mustelid talk.
Hey!
And let the mustelid.
Welcome back, Izzy.
Yeah, we're getting echo, Hissy.
You look drunk.
Welcome back, Hissy. Yeah, we're getting echo.
That is really fucking loud. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, hold on. I don't
Yeah,
actually have my headphones in. Why did I
oh,
do that?
come on, we've been putting up
Okay,
with
hold on.
Badger.
I'm here to chill, but
Yeah, I pulled you in
What are
the
you
chill.
talking about?
All the whole stream,
Cool.
you know.
yeah. I'm hissy. I'm drunk. You made me kill an entire liter bottle of Malibu.
Oh, wow.
And I've been drinking it kind of neat with only a little bit of pineapple in it.
But Hissy, we've been talking about Hero's Journey.
Cheers.
Yeah.
I'm empty.
Oh, what's that?
I am after that.
That is Badger's engine.
It's Badger.
Badger taking off.
Yeah. So
Is
anyways,
Badger can Badger drive with the amount that we should have drunk during this?
yeah. Anyways, Hissy,
The
kill yourself.
geostationary orbit thing is automatic.
Hey, hissy. This is what I like when I'm drunk. It's nice. I'm a historian, classicist. I'm starting off my YouTube channel and still kind of figuring out what I want to do with it. I appear on people's live streams because I don't have to produce them and it's less work. And I work with Godless Scummer and we're slowly working our way through the Asterix series. Oh, Scummer. last stream, the tweet I put out, my old classics tutor responded and asks when we're doing Asterisk in Britain.
Well, we will get to that. We will get to that one. So
definitely. So I may end up inviting him to join us for that one if he fancies it.
Oh, good damn! Yes, that'd be really good. I actually am really enjoying this little collaboration we're doing here. So I think it is possibly the most underrated thing on YouTube right now.
Quite possibly. So go find us.
Lots of fun.
Share. Watch, enjoy. Yep. I also do D&D with Ring as the GM, in which I play a Dragonborn Ranger. So I'll get there. Just
And you're usually part of the panel here every week.
Yeah.
I am usually. The reason I've not said much and I let Ring drop me out this week is that I don't know anything about Star Wars. And I think from listening to you all that the fella you were talking about who made the shot into the big ship that went boom is Luke. Yeah. I said that deliberately to see Amanda's reaction, and you did not disappoint. Because I was told you would not appreciate me having never seen it and knowing nothing about it. So, but this is me, usually more sober than this, although generally, who knows? It's Sunday afternoon.
I know you went the other day.
I was. This is the first time I've been properly drunk on the internet, on video.
Yeah, you were getting there the other day.
But
I was nowhere near. I was just chatting.
Yeah. Anyways, after all that drinking, we need to wrap this up. So
Ring's gonna put me to bed now, so you can't be on live stream for that.
No, my bladder's getting full. Anyways, Jen, chill.
Okay, well, I'm Jen Zolacona. I'm here every week with Ring, unless we've got something else special on, which I know nothing about. The last couple of things I've done were we did a stream on feminism, which Hissy and Kate, who was here earlier, were part of. Go check that out. It was an awesome stream. We had a lot of fun. It's really worth watching. Then I released a video last night which covered some of the maths of why Mercury is the closest planet in the solar system to all the other planets on average. Although I say maths, I mostly did it with diagrams, but it's still maths. And I'm looking at doing some more maths-based videos. I'm planning on doing one which explains how we got to discovering that the area of a circle was pi r squared, which will go through the process that Archimedes used to get there. And I'm also looking at doing how we got from there later on with Newton to calculus and areas under a curve. So should be interesting if you're into maths. And even if you're not, I'm going to try and throw a bit of history in it and be interesting about it. So
I may actually understand that, because that's like A-level maths, and I know I failed it, but I did sit in the classroom.
I might call on you to do a cameo in both of them, Hissy, if you're interested, and throw a bit of history down on Archimedes and Newton.
Have to give me warning so I can actually research them. But yeah, cool, I'll do that.
Oh no, I mean, I'm not planning till. I may do Archimedes on my own, but we could do maybe we can do Newton together.
It wasn't Archimedes. Was it Archimedes who did Eureka? Was Archimedes who did Eureka?
I think it was Archimedes that did Don't Disturb My Circles.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all Greek to me.
I believe he was killed in one of the Punic Wars.
He was.
Yeah.
Anyways, and I'm One Ring. This is my, you're here. You're probably subscribed. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Go ahead, click like. Every Sunday morning we do Media Musings, where we talk about the themes in a piece of media. And sometime, if I'm not completely crashed out after work, I will be doing edited videos again, and I am currently working on one explaining why how D&D alignment is kind of an argument against absolute morality, or at least an ingrained sense of absolute morality. So there is that to look forward to. And as mentioned before, I do DM the Atheist D&D every Saturday at 1-ish Eastern time. We're still working out a solid time to start, but it's looking 1-ish Eastern time will be that. Have other projects that need to be ironed out as well. And as always, we're going to go ahead and start with the taglines. Gummer?
See you guys later. Salute. And sorry, what are we doing next week? What you got next week? Medium musing. So you said we're doing the prequels.
Far out. He had to get one in.
Oh, sorry.
Mama Atheist, do you have a tagline?
Think critically.
I thought a tagline was going to be "fuck you, Jeff" after that, but
Hissy?
Take care, be good, and if you can't be good, be careful.
Badger?
You always put me on the spot with these. Bye!
And as always, remember, indoctrination is a hell of a selfie stick.